actually went back and had a look around. There was no cars behind me or coming the other way, so it wasn't a rock thrown up by the tyres. It's the only thing I can put it down to.
It's a dream career for keen gamers. Now Bohemia Interactive Simulations is making it a reality at Williamtown, their virtual simulation software for the military in high demand.
High-tech simulation for the defence industry, not only here in Australia, but around the world.
It recently won a state government Regional Industries Investment Fund grant.
We were looking to expand and we were looking to move to one of the new buildings at the Williamtown Aerospace Centre.
During his Hunter pit stop, Andrew Stoner joined the Minister for Resources and Energy to announce the state's first energy hub at the university, which will see researchers work with industry experts.
A hub that will help improve energy prices, energy efficiency. It will look at new sources of energy and clean energy.
Mr Stoner also revealed a local priority in the new $40 million Country Roads program to improve freight productivity.
We're looking at other projects, for example, a proposal around upgrading the Golden Highway between Mudgee, Dubbo and of course Newcastle.
As for candidates being parachuted into electorates, including the National's celebrity candidate for Cessnock, Angry Anderson, not surprisingly, the National Party member was supportive, saying they can be the most passionate MPs.
I've seen over my time in politics, which is nearly 16 years, some very local people who were born in a town and have been very lazy and ineffective local members.
Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
It's been one of the most damaging weather systems of the year, and now as conditions begin to ease, its impact is being revealed. On Stockton Beach, many of the four-wheel drive entries are inaccessible, and most of the frontal dunes have been flattened.
We've found that we're getting saltwater inundation in behind, which is causing more erosion problems and also destroying and killing some of that vegetation.
While the area is usually packed with families on the weekend, Parks and Wildlife hopes that their safety message will be heard.
The swell can inundate that intertidal zone or the beachfront at any time. You could get a large swell that comes through, and when you've got an incoming tide, you could find that your vehicle's swamped and that tide's coming in, you're almost trapped on the beachfront.
Conditions are set to ease further across the weekend, but Parks and Wildlife say the threat will be present. With many of the commonly used four-wheel drive tracks being destroyed, the services warned motorists against trying to create their own tracks behind the bigger dunes. Much of the beach is inaccessible, but for those who choose to ignore the warning...
If you come to a point like that, we advise people to turn around or wait until the swell subsides.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
For some dads, playtime comes naturally, giving their kids undivided attention. Others need a hand along the way with fatherhood, and they're not alone. Research shows young dads are vulnerable to postnatal depression and can find it hard to reach out for help. The good news for busy dads or those who don't live with their kids, the quality of the time fathers spend engaged with their children is more important than the amount of time.
It's spending time with them, even doing just little things like going for a walk down the park, sitting out the back and kicking a ball around, throwing a ball to a small child, rolling it on the grass.
Experts have 5 tips for being a super dad. Number 1, put away your phones or devices and focus.
The world won't stop while you're not on your phone for 10 minutes.
Play with them. Rough and tumble play such as wrestling builds strong relationships between dads and kids. And make time for each child individually.
We tend to overthink it as adults. Children just want to be with us. They just want to do something. They don't really care what. You're the most important person in their world, and they just want to be with you doing something.
Number 4, read to them and give them hugs and show affection. Interrelate runs the Being a Dad program, helping fathers connect with their kids and gives advice on discipline. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
A grand final spot up for grabs between two old foes, and there'll be no love lost.
It's always a bit of rivalry there, and it's always good. And semi-final time, it's September, so I'm sure the rivalry will be there very strong tomorrow. We really expect a real tough game. We're not taking this lightly whatsoever.
The Rosellas will host the Lions tomorrow after earning a week off. They're now fully fit and raring to go.
Personally, we needed the week off. We are definitely carrying some players that have got a lot of little niggles and knees and those type of things that do need a little bit of time and wear and tear.
Souths are producing the goods at the business end of the season, and that isn't lost on the West coach.
You really need to get into the grind and be patient and really test whether back our ability to play a good strong 80 minutes.
In Sunday's minors semi-final, the Goannas will look to continue the form which eliminated Central Charlestown from the competition when they take on Macquarie, who are looking to lift.
It'll be a real test of character, but we've worked hard this week on our defence, and we need to get that in order to win this game.
Someone who could play a key role is the real NRL's Player of the Year, hooker Chris Hyde.
And he deserved it, I think he won by a record margin and got 29 points, but he's had a great year.
Michael Kane, NBN News.
We didn't manage the match well for the last 15 minutes. There's ways that you can hang on to a lead even when you don't feel 100% physically. He's a clever boy, not as mobile as he was, but knows where the goals are, can play other people in, he's a handful.
After cropping the prize money for the NJC's biggest race of the year, today there was a welcome announcement.
We're thrilled to announce that our Cameron Handicap goes back up to $150,000.
It comes off the back of Racing New South Wales giving its blessing to spend $10 million on course upgrades that will see the club's future back on track.
By the time all this is done, we'll have one of the best racetracks definitely in the state, if not the country. So we'll be in the top 5 tracks, I would say.
The Spring Carnival is set to take off in under a fortnight, with the upgrade beginning soon after.
Spring Carnival will be run on our main racetrack this year. The inside training track will be converted to a racetrack. We'll have horses ready to go onto that track by spring next year, and after Spring Carnival then we'll start work on the course proper.
It's been quite a turnaround for an organisation which was recently in the red due to operating losses.
Our club was losing in excess of $1 million a year. Our unaudited figures this year are suggesting a small profit, so we're really excited about that. It's taken a lot of hard work.
Michael Kane, NBN News.
It was supposed to be a routine visit to the bank, but in a matter of seconds, the trip turned into a nightmare.
Very distressed, very, very distressed and shocked.
I find it hard to believe. I was virtually caught unawares.
84-year-old Gerald Manette went to the Belmont City Centre to withdraw $2,500 in cash so he could pay for some much-needed work on his home. Unsuspectingly, Mr. Manette was followed into his bank branch by the offender. After hearing he was withdrawing the large amount of cash, the offender then returned to the car park to wait for Mr. Manette. Normally Gerald, who is a veteran of the Korean War, would use the disabled park, but with no available spaces, he was forced to walk an extra distance, right into the path of the offender. It was at this point when Gerald reached his vehicle that the offender struck. With Gerald's attention focused on unlocking his car door, the offender flew past on his bike, snatching the envelope before sprinting from the scene in a matter of seconds.
He has a nervous problem that causes him to wobble a little, and he carries a stick, so he was quite easy prey for a young man to take advantage.
The Manette's roof had been falling apart for years, but until now they had been unable to afford the repair.
It's been 6 years of paying from my pension payment, $100 every fortnight, and just saved and saved and saved.
The painting went ahead today as planned, but to fund the work, they'll be forced to take out a small loan. Police are yet to make an arrest, but the Manettes aren't expecting their money to be returned. Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
We've asked in our declaration that there be a halt to that proposal and also for the high-rise proposal until such time as there's a commission of inquiry.
Packing her bags and trying to mentally brace herself for the horror that awaits in West Africa. Nurse and Red Cross volunteer Libby Bowell is taking on humanitarian aid work that many Australians wouldn't even consider.
I feel that I need to go. I have to go as part of the team to support the local Red Cross on the ground.
She'll be working in Monrovia, a country ravaged by the worst outbreak of the deadly and highly contagious Ebola virus. Despite the very real risk of infection, she says she's not worried about her health.
We have very high standards and we have lots of practices and procedures around maintaining our own safety.
Although she has no doubts that working in such tragic and gruelling circumstances for the next month will be difficult, especially given that one of her tasks will be the management of dead bodies.
I think this one will be tougher than most because we know there's a high fatality rate in this. I think you prepare on the run, really. I'm still trying to wind out of my full-time job at the moment.
The World Health Organization estimates that 20,000 people will be infected from the Ebola outbreak before it's contained. Madeleine McKell, NBN News.
Everyone got out today, had an amazing day, got on the track, gave it our best go, so it was really good.
It was always going to be a rugged affair between two arch-enemies keen to play their way into a decider. A sweeping backline move by the Lions gave Ryan Pywell plenty of work to do, and he did just that. Rosella's hooker James Wolford looked to catch South's marker defence napping as he burrowed over, but was held up in the process. The Red and Greens didn't have to wait long to grab their first points. A grubber in goal saw Peter Mannion capitalise on a mistake. Just before the break, West searched out wide, Steve Gordon finishing in the corner for an 8-4 lead. West kept the points flowing in the second 40. Big prop Ryan Pedro showed a quick set of heels as he went on the charge to find the line, making it 18-4. Classy centre Steve Gordon was cutting the lines up down the left as he provided for Mark Farrer, while tempers flared yet again. Jerome Wilson gave South some hope of a fight back, unstoppable from 5 metres out. But it was the Rosellas who booked a spot in the grand final, winning by 22 points to 10. Michael Kane, NBN News. The Jets youth were eager to forget about last weekend's heartbreaking loss to Western and started in the best possible way, courtesy of Michael Finlayson. A free kick just outside the penalty area saw a Jets defender steer it into his own net. Broadmeadow Magic-bound striker Cale Bradbury put the Jaffers ahead on 22 minutes. A Lambton corner found captain John Majerowski unmarked on the back post, and he finished with precision. And when Jobe Wheelhouse wrapped up this opportunity just before the break, the Jaffers had 1 foot in the grand final. James Pascoe's side hit back straight after half-time, Andrew Porwick providing Brandon Lundy, who did the rest. A free kick from Nick Calburn made the final 5 minutes interesting. But 4-3 it stayed as the Jaffers made it through to their second grand final in a row. Michael Kane, NBN News.
It's baby time at Hunter Valley Zoo. This fluffy pair are the zoo's newest arrivals.
So these guys are about 6 days old, and the dad hatched them in the exhibit, but unfortunately we had all the rain, we had to take them from him and better their chances of survival.
Baby Ali has been here for 1 month after she was found inside her mother's pouch by the side of the road. But it will be a while before she's on show.
Too little for public display. This is actually the first time that she's met anybody outside of the staff because she's too little, even though she has a very outgoing nature.
Also being kept behind closed doors are Western Grey Joey, Iowa and Shiloh. The dingo pup is being nursed back to health after a rocky start to life.
So we really do have her on the mend, and we found a home for her. We can't introduce her here to our dogs at the zoo because they just won't take too nicely to that.
Then there's these teeny tiny common marmosets who are more than happy to perform. And with all of these babies around, animal instincts are in full flight.
A Cape Barren geese are in with the emus. It wasn't an uncommon sight to see a Cape Barren male hanging off an emu's tail as he was running off, protecting the eggs from them coming around. So really cool parents.
And it won't be too long before there's a few more babies here at Hunter Valley Zoo, with little Bintu here expecting her furry bundle of joy in about 6 weeks.
And this clutch of ostrich eggs is expected to hatch early next month. Madeline McKell, NBN News.
We're just here so that more people can know about it. We can raise the funds, try and get a cure, and just make more people aware.
Every cent raised will go towards the Mark Hughes Foundation, which will help us in our efforts with research. We're doing a lot of work with HMRI, and it's just very exciting to see so much support.
Walking into preschool for the very first time with a helping hand from her dad, captured on home video by her mum. And by the look on little Sarah Crawford's face, she knows just how big of an achievement this is.
We were very proud to see her walk through the gates with some of the other kids walking past her. And we could see from her smiles how very excited she was.
The 3.5-year-old was diagnosed with cerebral palsy at 21 months of age. Just as difficult as walking is communicating, but step by step, so to speak.
Oh, that's a big step.
Along with hours of therapy from her parents and professionals, she's becoming more stable on her feet for a short time each day.
That's why I don't work, because I have to get her walking. If she doesn't walk later on in life, she's going to be wheelchair bound and it all goes downhill from there.
This month, her father Brian is taking part in September, which will see him aim to do 10,000 steps a day to raise money for the Cerebral Palsy Alliance.
I've challenged some of my friends to do 200 steps for every single step that Sarah does. And we want Sarah to be increasing her steps during the month.
To support Walking with Sarah, go to september.org.au. Vivian von Drainen, NBN News.
The Scorpions haven't won a finals match since 2012, but the Goannas were in no mood for sentiment. Riley Brown kept defenders guessing as he set up Kerrod Holland. The lead soon doubled. A Joel Brown crossfield kick palmed off to Sean Metcalf, who did the rest. Macquarie hit back. Chris Hyde showed why he was named the real NRL Player of the Year. His flick pass finding the mark. Down by 4 at the break, the Scorpions kept their momentum. Isaac Beeks found a gap, and Royce Jeffrey, who still had plenty of work to do, but got there in the end. Cessnock looked to hit back out wide through a kick chase, Chris Pine getting more than he bargained for in the gather. That very play, Chris Adams looked to do it all himself, but was held up by desperate defence. But the Goannas couldn't be denied this time, Riley Brown selling a dummy before bustling over. Macquarie tried hard to keep their season alive, but Cessnock held on to win 12-10. Michael Kane, NBN News. Both teams were keen to keep their premiership hopes alive. The Hawks had the first real chance of the match, but Liam Forlan couldn't get a grounding. Indiscretions from the Hawks produced 2 penalties that put the Greens up by 6. A Hamilton three-pointer closed the gap, but it soon extended. Sustained pressure saw Matt Ferry scurry over. Hamilton hooker Tim Prozzi looked more like a centre as he set up Ratu Delanamate to score in the corner soon after. But Merriweather hit back, down 17-9. A short ball from Mick Gill put them within 3 at the break. The Greens started the second half how they finished the first. Strong lead-up play was finished off by Gareth Ernst. The score seesawed back in the blue and gold's favour. A well-worked move from the scrum saw the Hawks cross in the corner. Down by a point and deep in injury time, the Greens got their wish, a penalty within range. Blake Crichton the hero, Merriweather winning 24-22. Michael Kane, NBN News.
As far as the tide of change, it's been coming in slowly, and what we're seeing now with the government having made commitments and provide funding is a real opportunity for us, and we want to see it move forward the best we can.
It was ranked as the poorest in the A-League earlier this year, the pitch likened to a sandpit. That reputation is about to change. Today, the workmen and machinery rolled in and started ripping up the turf less than 24 hours after the Knights finished their season.
We've been trying to get this underway for the 2 years that I've been here and before that, and it was such a relief this morning to see the first truck come in.
More than $1 million will be spent re-levelling the ground due to its obvious camber, improving the drainage and the sprinkler system, and then finally replacing the ryegrass with the best couch available. It's a tight time frame. The work will take 8 weeks. The Jets will play their first 4 games away from home. Newcastle's first game back at Hunter Stadium is scheduled for November 8 against Melbourne Victory.
I'm confident we'll be handed the pitch back on the 5th of November. 3 days before the first Jets home game.
And with millions watching the Asian Football Cup in January and 4 games at Hunter Stadium, the goal is to present the best pitch in the country.
I'm not aiming super high, I just want to be number 1 by the end of the 2015 A-League season.
Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
With Dixon Park a little bit further up, the estimated schedule we're on there is still on track to finish hopefully at the end of spring. And as you can see, the pathway is now opened up to the top of the cliff.
From the iconic to the quirky and even a little scary, the upgrade of the Merriweather Tunnel is more than just a fresh lick of paint. Artist Trevor Dickinson spent 3 months working underground, or as it's now known, under the sea.
I came up with the idea of an aquarium when I walked down the stairs at the end, and I felt like, oh, we're going underground. And it really felt like you're entering something special.
The main reason for the new look is to prevent graffiti.
We're constantly battling graffiti, and so are private property owners. So it's just a matter of trying to find a way to win. Rather than simply complain about it, you've got to do something positive.
But after just a quick stroll through, you can see it's more than that, capturing the essence of the area and its people. One of the highlights, a painting by local artist John Earl.
It's really good to be able to kind of completely alter an environment by doing a painting. And I think if you came down this tunnel before, it was quite scummy and people didn't really notice it.
The tunnel features more than 250 different marine species, which means you're likely to see something new every time you visit. And it's also interactive. A special spot has been painted for visitors to take a seat and have a photo. The colourful addition to the suburb already has children singing in the street. Vivian von Drainen, NBN News.
Lifeline sells pre-loved clothes and household goods at 13 Hunter and Central Coast stores. And right now, it's hot property.
The visitation to our stores has grown exponentially over the last probably 4 or 5 years.
It's part of a resurgence in second-hand style, a new take on turning trash into treasure.
People are really interested in upcycling. You know, we sell a lot of what people would consider junk, but they're doing it up and making these fantastic items.
While it's busier than ever, the charity has noticed a change in the quality of donations as people try their luck at selling their better items online. A survey conducted by classified site Gumtree has revealed the average Hunter person earns around $2,000 a year by selling their unwanted goods. Its survey also found we have 23 unwanted items at home we could sell, or at least try.
We do find that once people haven't sold their items online, that they're more than happy to donate it to us.
It seems there's enough for all in the booming second-hand economy. Lifeline may have an edge, though, in the feel-good factor, with money made at its stores going back into counselling services.
The dust has barely settled on their NRL season, but the Knights are already planning for next year, with incoming coach Rick Stone unveiling his support staff this morning.
We're comfortable that we're moving forward in the right direction. We're really happy with the way we finished the season and really excited, obviously, about the season in front of us.
Club legend Danny Badiris will work alongside Craig Sandercock as Stone's assistants.
He's a real teacher, and a lot of the players, I know Aku worked really hard with Sandy and got great results.
For Badiris, it could be the first step on the road to a head coaching position.
This is obviously something I've sort of looked at for a long time and going down this road, so I'm excited.
Having taken the Butcher Boys to the real NRL finals, 30-year-old Matt Lantry gets his chance with the New South Wales Cup team.
It's probably come a little bit earlier than what I thought, but I believe I'm ready, and most certainly the opportunity to coach at Central this year has given me the confidence to now progress to that next stage.
Rounding out the group, Troy Pezzett will step up from the high-performance junior program to lead the Knights' powerful under-20s side, which has produced the likes of Jake Mamo and Sione Matautia.
Hopefully we can just keep developing those younger players and getting some local first graders through.
Craig Goodwin started his career at the Jets in 2012 by winning Young Player of the Month, and he eventually represented the Socceroos. This season, the 22-year-old would have competed with a host of left-sided players for game time. When Adelaide expressed an interest in his services, the player and both clubs reached an agreement to send the South Australian home.
It frees up a spot for us. We need to strengthen in other areas. So, look, it's just been a balancing of the books. But in recognition of what Craig's done for the club, we're all grateful of that, and disappointing to lose him.
Having lost the likes of Zadkovic, Caravello and Oxborough, the coach acknowledges there's a lack of central midfielders in his squad. He says Newcastle is on the verge of adding a high-profile Australian player to fill the void.
If that happens, it'll be a real tonic for the team as well, I would suggest. And look, fingers crossed things work out for us and we can bring the player in that we're really looking to get in there.
Defender Alan Welsh, who impressed against Sydney FC in Townsville, is also expected to sign in the coming days.
Shortly before 8:30 this morning, emergency services were called to Hunter Quarries at Karua for the most tragic of circumstances. A 25-year-old local man had been building a windbreak when the 45-tonne excavator he was driving tipped and rolled 30 metres down an embankment.
The quarry's fairly deep and it drops down probably around about 200 metres, and as I see it, there are a number of windbreaks that they make to make safe operating areas.
Investigators filed their way through the quarry gates to find out exactly what went wrong, as those closest to the victim arrived on site to grapple with their loss. The accident's challenging location meant gaining access to the wreckage posed a risk to rescuers.
Police rescue, in conjunction with the mine and the quarry here, are in the process of building a pad to move a rig in to secure the excavator and to gain access to the area. It's going to be time consuming and it will probably take a number of hours to occur.
This afternoon, the recovery of the man's body was unsuccessful. Tomorrow morning, a second crane will be brought in to continue the operation. In a statement, Hunter Quarries, owned by developer Hilton Grujon, said it's devastated by the death and is providing full support to the family of the person involved and those affected at the operation. Christy Reading, NBN News.
Without these guys, it would be a little lonely on the campaign trail for Labor mayoral candidate Nuatali Nelms. They're just some of the Merriweather surfers behind her first policy, which would see a lifeguard back on the busy beach all year round.
Inexperienced swimmers often get into trouble, so at the moment public safety is relying on the goodwill of local off-duty volunteer lifeguards and local surfers to rescue people.
This year, council voted to take the patrol away during winter. In that period, there were 8 rescues.
You can easily get out of your depth at this place. I've brought in people myself, right? And it's pretty hard to do when there's a big sea running.
As for Councillor Nelms' competition, the man currently in control of Newcastle Council says he hasn't even had a chance to think about taking the top job permanently.
Look, I'll give it some thought when I have a chance to stop and think about it. But really what's the matter? Just the council getting on and doing its job.
There's no shortage of candidates for the Newcastle state by-election. Well-known community campaigner Tony Brown, the latest to come forward as an independent.
Well, I've got a proven track record as a community campaigner for many years for showing energy and persistence in successfully preventing alcohol-related violence. And that's what Newcastle needs, somebody who's from the community with a proven track record of fighting for what's best for the Newcastle.
Vivian von Drainen, NBN News.
This is not your ordinary PE class, but take a good look because this could be the future. It looks tough, and it is. These teenagers are put through high-intensity interval training. In pairs, they do 30 seconds of vigorous exercises, then have 30 seconds rest, and repeat this for 8 minutes.
It's been really, really good. It's definitely improved my fitness in the last 8 weeks that we've been doing it.
Run through the University of Newcastle, the trial is all about providing evidence that this short, sharp style of exercise is beneficial for the physical and mental health of teenagers.
This short, quick fix is a really great way to get them working vigorously, enjoying the activity and not taking away from their school curriculum or the school day as well.
Designed for our fast-paced world and feeding into the competitiveness of teens, heart rate monitors are used to encourage students to work hard.
Having that target allows them to push themselves and challenge each other rather than general physical activity programs where they don't have access to that data.
And with 2 weeks to go at St Mary's, it's proving a success.
Those high intensity little sessions, that's what this generation really respond to.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
I'm amazed at all the reaction that has occurred, and particularly with the reimbursement of the money, that it's put things back to normal again.
In 2009, 17-year-old Philippa Anderson became the first Hunter-based rider to claim a Surfest crown. Since then, she's enjoyed pro-junior success and spent time on the World Qualifying Series. But after losing her major sponsor, a lack of money has stalled her dream of competing on the Championship Tour.
I've had a bit of a shocker this year on the QS-wise, but someone said to me a while ago, I'm still 22 and I still have a few more years in me, so I'm not going to give up and give next year another shot.
Philippa was recently selected on the Australian team for the World Surfing Games in Peru, a trip which is self-funded. The Merewether Surfboard Club has stepped in to offer support by holding a fundraiser this Sunday, auctioning off items such as a special board donated by her brother Craig.
We as a community and the club think that she deserves a chance to go over to these world titles and give it a best shot, and maybe from there springboard and get another major sponsor. So, we're hoping that's the case.
They've already raised more than $2,000.
I was speechless. I still am now, just thinking how everyone's come together just to help, me and my go to Worlds, and I'm just some average girl. So I was, really blown away.
Anderson will head overseas on October 15. Before then, she'll undergo an intense training schedule, which includes lots of surfing.
We went up to the Goldie 2 weeks ago for the swell, and after that I was just that's why I surf. I just had the best week, and I'm just so excited now.
For more details about the fundraiser, go to merewethersurfboardclub.com.au. Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
It's not every day young people in Australia can see how others live across the world.
But for students at Teneba Public School, the Child Fund Connect program allows them to interact with children in Timor-Leste.
They come together through multimedia tools using video and photos and live chats over the internet to share their stories.
Tenambit is one of just 7 schools in the country taking part.
The program aims to build students' understanding of other cultures.
What's your favourite part about the Child Fund Connect program?
Learning about all the other people across the seas. They actually have a very fun time, sometimes not that very lucky.
To watch the full story or get your school involved, head to our website and we could be coming to your school.
This is Chloe Lane
and Kate Stewart
reporting to you
for NBN News Junior Journos.
The damage to this Holden utility shows the devastating impact of this morning's crash. About 7:30, it collided head-on with this car near Ravensworth on the New England Highway, killing a 72-year-old man.
Attempts were made by police arrived first. Attempts were made by them to resuscitate the man, but to no avail.
A Singleton woman in her 30s, who was the driver of the other vehicle, was airlifted to John Hunter Hospital, suffering multiple non-life-threatening injuries. The investigation is still in its early stages, but police say wet weather is likely to have contributed to the accident.
We're looking at a number of things, including weather conditions at the time, road condition, the usual speed, alcohol and drug will all be canvassed during the investigation. It's just a timely reminder that when it's wet you definitely have to slow down and drive to the conditions.
Diversions were put in place with the highway closed in both directions for several hours.
Minor hazmat concerns with some engine fluids etc leaking towards the creek, but they were quickly cut off by the Rural Fire Service.
Vivian von Drainen, NBN News.
They've actually anchored off Seals Rocks, and it got really windy, and the anchors actually let go, and the boat has become moored on Boat Beach.
"25-year-old Ryan Messenger was a man very much in love with his wife, 23-year-old Alexandra. His Facebook page filled with happy snaps of the Raymond Terrace couple. But Mr Messenger's life was cut tragically short yesterday when an excavator he was working in at Hunter Quarries rolled and was crushed against a boulder. It's the second time a worker has died at the quarry.
In 2005, there was a workplace death of Darren Smith. That led to the company in 2009 pleading guilty to not providing a safe workplace.
The Newcastle Trades Hall Council is calling on the state government to enforce harsh penalties under the relevant legislation if the company's safety practices are found to be at fault.
Making sure that if employers do act in a way where workplace accidents occur or they continue to occur on second occasions, that there is no second chance and that they get the full weight of the law.
The quarry today remained a crime scene, with a second crane brought in to continue the difficult and dangerous task of trying to retrieve Mr Messenger's body. A continual stream of his friends and family arrived to console each other and pay their respects. The site has been shut down indefinitely.
It's common knowledge that the workplace isn't the safest up there.
Hunter Quarries was unavailable for comment today. Madeline McKell, NBN News.
The role of the Public Works Committee is to make sure that we're getting value for money, because this is Australian taxpayers' money. It's a huge project.
Today, 7 Australians will take their own life. It's a shocking statistic, and today Lifeline Newcastle and Hunter hosted a morning tea with the message, "You're never alone."
Anyone from any walk of life or any social aspect of life can find themselves in that really dark place where they can't see any other options.
When a celebrity takes their life, the repercussions can be devastating. Fans of music group GRL are mourning the loss of Simone Battle after her body was found in her Hollywood home on Friday, while the passing of actor Robin Williams generated a 25% increase in calls to Lifeline.
People who are currently struggling themselves can feel less hopeful about their future, and so it's really important that we take those opportunities to support people through that grief, that we connect people to good information and good services.
For those concerned about a loved one, the Hunter Institute of Mental Health has devised an online tool called Conversations Matter, providing tips on how to address the issue.
You don't necessarily have to be an expert to sit beside someone when times are tough and be able to support them getting to help that they need.
Help is available 24 hours a day through Lifeline's crisis support line, and there is also online assistance. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
After experiencing the heartache of a grand final loss, the Jaffers aren't content with just making up the numbers this time.
Last year there was a feeling that we made the grand final and we're happy to be there, whereas this year we've made the grand final and actually want to be there and win.
A first-half goal blitz against the Jets youth last weekend has shown that Lambton is firing at the right time.
Everyone knows that we can score goals. If we can hold them out, in the first 20 minutes, half an hour, I'm sure we can score enough goals to win the game.
Their opponents, Western, are keen to make their 50th anniversary year even more special with a victory. And with only one loss in the past 3 months, they go in as favourites. The Bears last made the grand final in 2010.
We've got a lot of players there that have been there, for 10 years or more, sort of one club players, and you don't get that very often. So to have that at Western, it's huge importance.
Having the week off isn't a worry for the Bears captain.
Maybe it's stalled our momentum a bit, but we had a good head out during the week, last week. Intense 2 sessions. We'll probably have the same tonight.
Former Jet Joe Wheelhouse is in doubt for the Jaffers and will undergo a fitness test on the morning of the match, while Western are also sweating on goalkeeper Tim Pratt, who is struggling with a hip injury. Free kick specialist Nathan Morris is sure to test Jaffers shot stopper Danny Ireland if given the opportunity.
We've got the best keeper in the comp, I think, Danny, and hopefully he can come out and command that area and save us.
Michael Kane, NBN News. Max Croker is busy preparing for a school exam. And if that wasn't enough for the 16-year-old, there's a test of a different kind just around the corner, but this one's on 2 wheels.
I'll be up against some of the toughest riders in the world, but it's a great opportunity so far.
Next month, he'll line up on the Moto2 GP grid at Phillip Island as a wildcard.
I've only just got my senior licence. I've only had it for 3 months now. and yeah, the youngest in Australia to be chosen. There's no real expectations, it'll just be a learning curve for me.
Already a junior superstar domestically in both road racing and speedway, in 2013 he took out the 125cc championship as well as the solo under-16 speedway championship. But this venture is a step up in class and expense.
It's almost $30,000 just for the Moto2 wildcard, like with getting everything prepared. They do give you like all your tyres, oils and fuel and all that, but yeah, that's just one round.
Just finishing the race is the goal, hoping it will springboard a career in Europe.
I'm positive that it will be in Europe. We're progressing every time we ride. I'm not sure. We'll just see how we go with that and hopefully end up in the Moto2 somewhere along the lines.
Michael Kane, NBN News.
We need to get more coal out of the Port of Newcastle to create more jobs in the Hunter. I make no apologies for supporting jobs in my region. In fact, I write hundreds, if not thousands of letters in my time as a Member of Parliament supporting individual businesses and companies.
Breathtaking views of the Newcastle coastline from a special spot where few venture. That's because it's currently one of the most inaccessible parts of our coast, but that's about to change. The Anzac Memorial Walk will show off Newcastle at its best, opening up these stunning 360-degree vistas to everybody.
It's one of the only points in Newcastle where you not only see the ocean and south and the cliff line, but you see right to the very top of the Hunter Valley.
It will link Strzelecki Lookout to Bar Beach with bridges, boardwalks and viewing platforms. Acting as a memorial to the Gallipoli landings in 1915, it will mark next year's centenary as well as BHP Billiton's 100-year association with the Hunter. The big miner is contributing $3 million. Newcastle Council committed $1.5 million. It'll be a major engineering feat. Hunter company Wager Constructions won the contract.
It's a real landmark type project, and that excites us to be involved.
The walkway was the brainchild of Neil Slater back in 1998, who collaborated with architect Barney Collins.
You can see the spectacle of the great coastline we have here. I've been down to Bondi to Bronte and been to Sculptures by the Sea, and I think this would be a great platform for something similar like that.
It's a tight schedule. The project will be complete for the Anzac Centenary in April. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
We've got a brand new factory which will be conducting guided tours so people can actually see the product being made. A lot of tourists ask us to come into our current factory, but because we're so squeezed there, we can't do that. We can't allow them in.
At 18, Daniel Christie had his whole life ahead of him, but a moment of madness on New Year's Eve in King's Cross robbed him of it. After suffering severe head injuries from a coward punch, Daniel's devastated family was first to turn off his life support 8 months ago today. It's the little things his father misses most.
The sheer joy of hearing him simply talk to you on the telephone, just a hug. 6'5", I could nuzzle my head underneath him and kiss him. We're quite proud of all of those affectionate things. But just his presence, just the fact that, you had so much to offer.
Determined not to let his son's death be in vain, Michael Christie is tonight hosting a public talk in Tea Gardens, sharing his painful and intensely intimate experience in the hope that others will think twice before acting violently.
It's cathartic in its own right for me to go and do it selfishly. I find it relieving to do that. And Daniel's with me, I feel that, absolutely. But I feel it's a responsibility to the broader community / Australia.
Sean McNeil was charged over the attack and his case is currently before the courts. But Mr Christie says his decision to speak out isn't based on revenge. He simply wants an end to alcohol-fuelled violence.
There's no winners. No one wins out of this. Obviously their family is missing their son. He's now been in custody ever since this happened. And who wins? I mean, the answer is nobody. It's just a senseless, mindless, ridiculous act.
Madeline McKell, NBN News.